Okay, we're going to work on hive number 1. We did hive number 2, which is the less active hive. You can see the hive bodies over here. We pulled those off the top. I say hive bodies, they're the honey supers. The idea is that the bees will come out of those and they'll go back to the hive, but we want the bees to clean out these frames because we're going to store these frames in the basement. And then that way we won't have any bees in there. They'll come out of there, we'll get them stored in the basement, and then ideally we'll put them back on in the spring. Okay, so that's the plan. That's what we're going to do. It'll take a day or two for them to get off of there, but that should be fine. We should have kept those off, I think, once we did the honey extraction, but we didn't. But you can see how many bees there are. The goal is that they get out of here and go back to the hive. Now the key is also hopefully the queen's not in there, but I didn't look for her because I'm working on some other things. But you know, we're learning here through the process, and it's not, for us, it's not an exact science yet. So we're going to work through the second hive now. Same thing. Yep, I'm going to take off the top. Yep. We're going to pop off these 2 top honey supers. Now this is the hive that we took honey from. We're just going to pop those off, set them to the side here so we know which ones are which. And our goal is that hopefully the bees will come out of there, come back to the hive, clean out all that honey and stuff and take it back into the hive. And then we'll go ahead and put those bodies back on in the spring, early spring, so we can use them for honey supers again. We're going to go down through here and try to see what we can see in terms of the screen bottom board. In the other one, we have a slatted rack in there, which helps give it space, and that's working really well. So there was very little accumulation of dead bees on the bottom, the screen bottom board, which is what we want. We want good ventilation. See a lot of bees, a lot of activity once we get down in here. Yep. I'm not doing a thorough inspection, so I'm not looking for the queen. This hive has a marked queen, so she would be easy to see if we went in there, easier to see, I should say. Bottom. There we go. We're just going to set that here to the side, just briefly. And there's a lot of bees in here. So now the plan is going to be is we're going to put that bottom board on there. And I'm going to try to do it while they're off. A bunch of them around. Much nicer than the other one, but they're not happy. So the goal is we're going to get them closed back up here. Yep, as quickly as possible. our mite strips.
And all 3 of those boxes are brood chambers. Correct?
I'm sorry?
Are they all 3 brood chambers?
Yes, that's correct. The 3 remaining boxes that are still on the hive are all brood chambers. And right now what we're doing is we're doing a mite treatment. So we lay these strips that are treated with a heavy chemical odor. You can see how we stagger them. Then we're going to close it up with the idea that those chemicals in there will kill the mites. So we left those boards on there in the bottom, over top of the screen bottom board. So when we come back, we'll be able to see what the mite population is on those boards.
So you don't know if you have mites or not?
Well, we're pretty certain almost every beehive has mites. So it's hard to get rid of them entirely, 100% eradication of the mites. What we're trying to do is get rid of most of them as we can. You can do a mite test. We didn't do it because we just wanted to treat this year. But there's a number of different ways to treat them with sugar rolls and alcohols in cans. We just didn't do that because we wanted to go ahead and just treat this year anyway. So that's what we're doing.
So tell us what happens in 7 days then?
So what'll happen is now with those strips in there on the top and the boards, you can see those boards, that acid smell and chemical from these Mite Away quick strips. Here's what the container they come in, and you have to wear protective gloves. And you put those Mite Away strips in there, you close the hive up, and they have to stay in a minimum of 7 days. The morning or evening temperature shouldn't get below 50 degrees, and the evening temperature shouldn't be terribly hot because they will, that odor will get pungent and it could kill some of the bees potentially. So we have those strips in there and leave them in for a minimum of 7 days. We'll come back in about 7 days and pull those strips off and then shut the hives down for the entire winter, the fall and winter. Now, as you can see here, we also have these supers out here. And the plan or the goal is that these supers will get, the bees will come out of those and go back into the hive. And then ideally we'll be able to go ahead and take these supers into the basement.
So they'll clean the honey out of them?
They'll clean all the different honey and nectar and things in there, clean them all out, and take that stuff back into the hive. They have a couple of, we've got some really good days coming up, so they should have some good days to be able to work on them. So I'm going to just move them a little closer to the hive so there's less work for them. And just so they have an idea of what's going on. I don't want them to have to come too far. So I'm going to move both of those boxes over.
Anything else you want to say?
Nope, that's going to be it. So this is our first mite treatment, so this is our first run at it. And once we get done with this, we'll hopefully be able to get them put away for the winter. Like I said earlier, we did extract a week or so ago, and we got 25 pounds of honey from just the one hive.
And one super, right?
Yep, one hive, one super from our #1 hive. And then ideally what we'll do is hopefully next year we'll be able to extract twice maybe. Once in the spring and once in the fall. Because our frames are getting built out much better because we had started with all new equipment. So all of those frames are starting to get built out. So the hives are becoming much more active and much better. So some of this stuff we're still learning, so we're going through the process, but we're working with local beekeepers to try to keep things going. So that's pretty much it. I appreciate everybody watching. Thanks a lot and stay in touch.